Hey, this is Richard back at you guys. Got a few clouds here in Amarillo, fixing to rain again. Man, are we excited? But we got Ron's Chevrolet all the way from California, guys. 5.3, 98 model, two-wheel drive in the house. Now, he said he didn't think he was going to make it here, but he had to come anyway, no matter what. I believe his brother lives in Canyon, right, Amarillo?
Right.
Yeah, next to Amarillo right here. It's a small town. It's almost a suburb now. But his brother lives there, and he decided to bring it all the way back to Amarillo to have his tranny service, or rebuilt, excuse me. So anyway, he pulls a trailer with it. So we're still going to put the wide band, the Z-Pack, all the good things that we always put in these. Now this is an early design. I said 98 model. So it's going to have the converter in it like a 700. 4L60 early. Now when you get into later versions, they went to a thicker bell housing, different converter, different input shaft, changed it up quite a bit. So now, I think he said he's had this rebuilt before, if I'm not mistaken.
I think he said that when he got it, that his buddy had it, and he had it went through, and it's never really shifted right.
Right.
Really hard shifts, so he changed out the throttle body, thinking that might help
Might fix
out.
it. Okay. Okay. Well, when we get in here and look, we have a torque converter that's been rebuilt before. You can tell it's been by a company. I'm not sure who, anything like that. 6 of 18, I guess that would be a date, I'm assuming. Now you can see the paint's coming off of it. But being it has that decal on there, I'm saying that they probably didn't just paint it and put it back in. You can see quite a bit of wear on the hub right here where the converter goes. I mean, you can just feel that's a big old rut.
Oh yeah, you see.
Right there. Now it looks like to me you definitely could have spaced the converter in quite a bit further. So now you can see here it's an early design. You have your lockup seal here. You notice the seal is all the way to the end instead of the splines being out here and the seal being in here. So that's a difference on the lockup seal. Now we are going to modify the lockup on this since he does pull a trailer. Now it doesn't have a seal retainer at all on it. Now we will, when we go back, of course, we'll glue the seal in and we'll glue the retainer that holds the seal on back in too. So get this tail housing off and get it out of the way.
Richard, how was your birthday yesterday?
It was awesome. Awesome. I got all my honeydews done early. Got to hang out with all my family and friends. Had a really good time. We had one of the best barbecues I've had in a long time, guys. It was definitely worth turning 61, and you don't hear somebody say that very often, but man, we had a really good time at the house. Yay. Grandbabies were there. So we got a speed sensor here on the back. You don't ever really see these get fluid in them or anything like that. Now you can see some kind of crazy stuff that goes on with them a little bit. That I really don't know why they pop out like that, but you can kind of see how it's bulging. And it's got them. Now that's a magnet. Okay. So, but you can see them two little spots right there. It's kind of weird how it does it. I don't know if it's just from the magnetic force going towards your reluctor like this, because it does try to stick to it, see? So maybe over years of time getting hot, expanding, pushes that out like that. I've never seen them really pop a hole in them or anything like that. And you can see here it's got the factory, not so much factory, but it's got a coated tail housing bushing in it. We'll be going back with a brass style. Get rid of that. And then we have our dry shaft yoke seal right here. Let me get that out of there. Last time I could barely get it out. There we go. This seal here keeps it from leaking fluid out the back of the yoke. Now this seal is almost brittle. I mean, it's shocked it didn't break when I pulled on it just then. Now I like to take these off and seal them a little bit right through here, just in case. That way it can't get by the splines or anything. You want to always make sure your socket is deep into these bolts here. You see the torch bolt style. No seal retainer. Trent should be in there somewhere. I don't know where he's at. Thank you.
Annie, no. Thank you. Checking out that fuse, guys, but we're working today.
Yes. Very busy Monday, for sure. And we're going to look at everything that they've done to this unit. So we have a stock overdrive accumulator piston, servo piston. We do have a Corvette servo, already been installed. Now, even though it's been installed, you want to come in here and check for pin wobbling or anything down in here, because these have a bad habit of wearing. So even though he's got one already in there, when you take it apart and clean it, you might find out that that pin hole is wore out and have to put another one in there anyway. So, got your quick disconnect cooler lines, fittings. We always put new O-rings in here, and we put new clips on them before we take them out there, and I give them to the guys. That way they don't have to mess with them, they can just clip them in. So they didn't pull the pan. It's got a drain plug here that I don't like, but I don't like drain plugs or chrome pans, actually. Anytime you put a deep pan on your transmission, you want to make sure that your filter has an extension to put the filter to the bottom of the pan, or it has some type of something underneath the filter to hold it.
Oh.
Well, that thing is full of metal.
I told you.
Now, you notice it does have the filter is on there, and I'm really shocked. I'm going to go in here and I'm going to measure from here to here, measure from here to here, and I want to see the distance and see if this pan's down here like this. If it is, we want to make sure that we try to support that filter up in there. If not, it could actually fall off into the pan. And of course, we don't want to ever glue our pan gaskets on. This has got some type of hard silicone. I don't know what's on that thing. But that is a ton of metal, guys.
Oh, yeah. Told you I saw it running out of there.
Yeah, look at that.
It didn't look like it, but
yeah.
you really had to look. It was there.
It is full. Now, he didn't think he was going to make it, so I don't know if he serviced it before he left. I mean, the filter does look probably new, so he probably serviced it before he left. Woo! Look at that, guys.
That metal. Yeah.
Wow, look at that. Where do you think that come from? Anybody got a clue? Let's go find it. That's what we'll do. Get my screwdriver here. Looks like it's had an aftermarket harness put on it. A lot of them come with different connectors and stuff like that that's left over. And you can see this clip right here. A lot of times you got to grab the solenoid and turn it and get it facing to the top where you can get under and pull it out. And then it, anyway, it's gone. But you want to watch for it, or just throw a rag over it sometimes when you do it. But normally it doesn't come out that quick. But this here's your Pwm solenoid here. Now we're going to get in here and check this valve and see if they've done any modifications to it or anything like that. We have our 3-2 downshift solenoid. Got a pillow switch here. Got a pressure control solenoid here. Now they do make an early and a late model pressure control solenoid in the harness. Well, they have a different plug right there. Now, if your harness isn't leaking or anything like that, and it's still good, you can always cut this solenoid off here and put in a fits-all solenoid here. The harness won't always be bad. So, they splashed me that time. Okay. This is our park detent spring. If y'all don't know, it's what you feel when you move it from park to reverse, low and stuff like that, the clicks. Now they did change the detent lever right here when they went to the 4L60Es, so you got to be really careful if you go out to the trailer and get a 700 one, you're going to be in trouble. Now these are all 10mm bolts here. Have our pillow switch here. Actually, can't knock that off until I take the bolt out. You think, Susan?
Probably. It's a Monday. You lost the brain cell.
We had a very busy weekend. Since that it was my birthday. Now these are pillow switches here. When the tranny makes a shift, it presses on this little micro switch right here. You can see them clicking. So these O-rings are changeable. You can change them out. They'll come in your overhaul kit. Now some of your 4L60Es will not have this shield right here. And I'm assuming it's just keep fluid off your dipstick so you can check it better, keep it in line and stuff like that. Now we do see them without them too, so doesn't seem to be a necessity. Now, being that this has been apart, I like to get in here and see what they did. Now, they did change the lockup system in this right here, but it still is a PWM style. They just did a different style valve and spring in here. It's a single valve and spring, but we're going to go back with dual valves, and then we'll be blocking them valves apart, and then that way it'll take the pulse without. But right now, it's still a PWM style. Check all your valves. Now this is a your 1-2 shift is a dual stage accumulator system. In other words, it has an accumulator here and it's got an accumulator valve right here. This valve here was stuck solid. I bet it shifted hard. Did he say it shifted hard?
Oh, he said it shifted hard.
Yeah, this valve here, it was totally stuck. I could barely get it to move. It's starting to move now. But anytime that valve sticks, it doesn't put any fluid in your accumulator, so you're done. I mean, it's a 2-stage. This valve has to push back to get fluid over into here. So normally when you get a shift kit or something, it's going to talk about replacing the spring right here to a firmer spring. So believe me, you can make it shift pretty firm without messing with that one. This thing's got a lot of metal. It have to really be cleaned good. And we got our forward accumulator system here. Valve and piston, spring. Now this one here, you always want to Scotch Brite it up really good in here, check for any wear, especially when it's got a lot of metal build up like this. You want to make sure it didn't put a big old rut on one side, because a lot of times it'll settle. It'll settle down in here on this side and here, and then wear it really bad from here to here. So if it doesn't look bad, Scotch Brite that up in there. Take your piston, put an aluminum piston back in here. If you don't have one, just make sure your plastic one is good. Make sure there's no wobbling, anything like that. If you're not putting a shift kit in it and your plastic one is good, you can use it. But if you're putting a shift kit in it or a boost valve, you might want to replace that. That's pretty serious stuff there. So we got all of our check balls. Now this is normally where you start seeing your wear on your plate, right through here. Now this plate can be fixed. The check ball did not get stuck in the bore. Okay, so a lot of them come in, the check ball is physically stuck in here and we have to tap it out with a hammer. So these gloves are slippery. Yeah, it fell into a bolt hole right there. But here we got our 1-2 accumulator here too. Like I say, this is a 2-stage system, so got a nice aluminum piston in there.
I think this was a patch job.
Yeah, I think so too. Like I say, this is just a stock style aluminum piston. We'll go back with the tall shank style. It gives it a lot more support. Stuff like that. You know, these wear bad about wearing right through here, and whether your seal is good or not, if it wears here, the piston's no good. So Scotch Brite that up really nice in there. If you got more than a couple holes to repair on these plates, then we just don't want to get another one. But if it's just got this one and the others look fine, then we'll repair it. And we'll go in here and enlarge some holes, make it shift a little bit better. Now you can see here, here's a part of a shift kit. They put in this filter right here to keep that filter from collapsing. They'll drill usually something will come in, they'll have 2 holes drilled in the bottom here. Then the filter don't do anything, but I've seen that before too. Kind of weird how that sets in. I think it goes in another way.
First time I've ever seen that.
Yeah, they come in the shift kits.
Yeah.
So, valve body gasket says V. Round hole. Looks good there. Now look at this gasket here. Make sure it has a C for case, and then round hole. Looks really nice. See if he did anything in the 4th gear accumulator section, which they put the shift kit spring in there, which is okay, but we don't do that. We physically plug this hole here with another piston where it doesn't even work anymore. So the best way to do it right there. Then you'll have another check ball right here in this pocket. That one there. There's going to be some more strays in here. Anything more? I'm getting this gun broke in finally right there, but these old gloves get really slippery. So you want to hold your park lever right here with your finger and push down on it and turn your output shaft and lock it in. Once it's locked in, then you can get in here and get to that bolt. But if you don't do that, even installing it, you'll cross that bolt right there and it'll try to go in crooked. So. Now, if you ever get one of these and out of nowhere you go out in the parking lot and get into leave and all of a sudden it won't come out of park, we've seen these right here break off, this tip right here break off. And being that this is spring loaded right here, that's where you get your click, 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 click from if you put it in park too early before you come to a stop. So this right here will break off right here or wear down where this here just slide over the end. And once it does that, that spring locks it in park and it won't move. You can put it into gear, the motor won't rev up, it'll be in gear and all that type of stuff, but it physically ain't going anywhere. So, seen that happen a bunch. And you can see here fluid poured right out of that bolt right when I loosened it. So it's got an O-ring on it and it did do its job, but we always want to come in here and double seal these bolts. Of course, we took our lockup O-ring off here. Okay. Now, if you notice here, this is a 13 vane pump here. Got the O-ring on it. Has no seal retainer, which we'll put one on there. The rings are, I mean, I don't know how old they are, but they're actually still got a little color left to them anyway. It does have some type of boost valve in it. You can tell by the orange spring in the middle and a little bit of orange on the outer edge. Anytime you see that, if it's not just a regular black or brown spring, you know somebody's put something in here. You want to look at your stator right here on both sides. It's got quite a bit of wear here, so we'll have to put a new body on it. Now, if you notice here, it has a short stator. Your later design, your stator's about that much longer. So, and the splines are about that much longer too. I was gonna let's see. Now here you go. Shows you the difference in the two drums right here. This is a 700 early 4L60E lockup O-ring, late version, thicker bell housing, thicker torque converter. Put the splines to the end, put the O-ring on the shaft here. So I've never tried to interchange that stuff back to, you really can't do it. Well, you actually could. You could put the bell housing on this one, change the input shaft. We might be able to make a pump work even. So yeah, maybe, you never know us. If we tried long enough, we can probably do anything. But right now we've been pretty busy. Let me get this boost valve out of here real quick and see if they did anything here or if it's just a stock boost valve. But it looked like it had some type of shift kit spring in it. You can see the orange color right there on it. So you would think they would have some type of boost valve in it too right here. These could have a 1 ring, a 2 ring, anything like that. So this is, okay, it's got the stock 2 ring boost valve in it. So we're going to update this definitely, get a little bit bigger boost valve in there. Now it does look like it's got a shift kit pressure regulator spring right here though, these two here. But they did not mess with the boost valve. They didn't up it any at all. So, and you'd think doing what this gentleman's doing, that would have been a must. Now you can take a 3-ringer and put it in there if you know what you're doing without having to buy one. But if you buy a Transgo, we have them over there. They actually make some universal. They'll go for early and late. So it makes it really nice instead of having to keep 2 designs on the shelf. So, same way here, you can look at this pump. The converter wasn't in there very far. It could have went easy down to here. But you can see a lot of pressure on that pump right there, that gear. So, put your pump paddles. This slide right here is just about totally got all the bluing off of it. You can see it's just totally gone through here. Bushing's totally gone. What's good is the bushing, I'm not sure how many miles this gentleman's got on it. He's got actually 140,000. But it's probably had a bushing put in here before. But anyway, I don't see a lot of downforce like the motors wore out or the crankshaft setting low in the motor. I have even wear all the way around. So that makes me really happy. So and there'll be an O-ring in here. We'll have the little O-ring here, rubber O-ring looking thing. And then your little Teflon piece there, and that's your slide work there. And then you have your pin here. Check for any wear or anything like that. If it's wore, definitely put one in there, as that's what keeps this straight. So we replace every one. I'll show you right here. When I buy them like 25, 30 at a time. But they will wear really bad on one side, and next thing you know, your slide's not working straight. So you can see here, it's pretty bad. So we'll put another pump in this one for sure. And we have our plastic thrush wash that goes on the back of the stator. And I'd like to knock this band anchor out. That way I can just pull the band out. There we go. See what we got. And we just got a stock band. It's not the wide one like we want to, that we're going to be putting back in it. But it was actually working. He hadn't burned it up yet, so that's good. Well, normally when you see it like that, it's probably coming out of the converter. And that color of metal, the way it looked, usually the same way. But you never know until we get down in here. And we can put a new bushing in here. Make sure your sealing ring, or your drum here doesn't have deep ruts where your sealing rings go or anything like that. Now you can Scotch-Brite that out, that's just staining. Put some Scotch-Brite there. 180 grit your drum here. You definitely want to put a level across this and make sure that you can't see any daylight. So we did a bunch of moving things around. I don't have it here, but actually I have them everywhere by the hundreds that we use. They're actually drawer dividers that I use over here that work really good. Sorry about that, guys. Like I say, you can put this on here about every third time, you know, like this. Put a flashlight on here and see if it has any type of dip. That looks really nice. So 180 grit that up really good. Tell you about the screwdriver. These little hook screwdrivers work really well. And then we have our reverse clutch here. Now you can see how these start wearing in the middle and work their way out. It's because of the bevel. The bevel applies in the center and then flattens out towards the outer edge as it applies. So that's why you see that appear here. Your 6L 80s and 90s kind of has the same problem. But there is a fix for that. Of course, we have our 4 cylinder rings here. So you can tell how bad they're beat up, metal in them and stuff like that. They've just got metal embedded in them. Of course, this bearing here, you want to always check. Make sure your metal ain't coming from there even. Now you can see here, it's kind of crazy. See how that washer's ate up right there? You can see how it's just grinded on it right there. The bearing, actually, if you turn this bearing, the bearing feels really good. So why is that washer ate up like that? And this stainless back here, or whatever this bearing's made of, ain't even scarred. But if you get that washer out of there, I guarantee you it's chewed up pretty good. Now these are selective. This one is a 69. But if it's like that, you want to look down in here and look at your drum and make sure it didn't grind it out down in here. I don't see anything that's wrong with this drum right here. It's kind of crazy how the drum's harder than this steel, but if you look here, it looks like it just got so much metal in there, and this just sliding on it. So there's a lot of load on this bearing right here. You would not think so, but there is. So get over here and see if he surprises us any. Just got our normal 6 clutches. We do have our load springs in there though, it looks like. Like I say, just because your load springs are in here, don't mean your load springs are any good. So you always want to check them for height. How much they're sticking out here. See how much that's sticking out? I always judge them by grabbing a new one and putting it up beside a new one and see what they look like. Because some of them could be just sticking out just about like that. And is that enough? Probably not. You want them full extended. So the only way you know is just put it up against a new one. Because an old one's never going to tell you the truth. So, of course, we're going to go back with the Z-pack here. Get this 6 clutch pack out of here, out of there. Get that out of there. I like throwing them away. Buckets of them. Yeah, you're out of here. Same way with them narrow bands. I love throwing them away too. Get in here and look at our forward clutches, our engine brake clutch. You always want to make sure your clutch is against the steel, not the wave. You don't want it against the wavy. You want it just like that. Now, if you're doing an early 700, the clutch is going to go against the wave, and the clutch is going to be thicker. So you want to know what you're doing there. This is almost in that area, but not quite, because they had a 4L60, and then they had a 700 before they come up to the 4L60E early. So. Have a bearing down in here too. Always check this bearing. We very seldom ever see this bearing fail. Now we do see where the pieces come apart from each other, where this top part comes off of the bottom part, and there are 3 pieces. If it's like that, throw it away and just get you nothing. But we very seldom see a failure there. Now we see failures here all the time. Now, normally if it has a brass washer here, it'll always eat into this hub right here. A steel one won't, but since this training's had so much metal run through it from California, could you imagine how much metal was cycled through this thing from there to here? A long ways. Now this does have an updated dual case sprag in it even. See, so the man did a good job there. You want to check your race here. It looks good. Scotch-Brite it up. Check your hub here. If it's not, you can buff this out a lot. Put some Scotch-Brite, clean it up, see how it looks, determine whether you can use it again. Same way here. You see this outer race right here. No rutting or anything. Just Scotch-Brite it up really good. Of course, on your sun gear, you want to look on both sides. Look for any type of wear. Change your bushings. You always want to set your bushings down in just a little bit. Not so much this far, but still about that far. You don't want to leave them flush, even here. So now down here you have a snap ring, so you don't want to make sure you have your bushing hanging out. You can pull that snap ring off that planet down there even. So. Now this drum here does have all bonded pistons. Now some of them will come in with aluminum pistons being this early and have one bonded piston in the bottom only. Like your 3/4 piston will be the only one that's bonded, and the other ones will be aluminum. So if they are that way, put it back the way it was. Clean your aluminum pistons up, put some new seals on them, and your aluminum piston to me is just as strong as your bonded. So And you got your lube seal here. This seal here lubes this input shaft oil hole right here to this hole here. It sets on here just like that. It's the internal seal. And that way the fluid doesn't fall out, and it goes back in here and lubricates all the planetary assembly. If you forget that seal, all that gear train is going to be done the first time you get on the highway with it, or get up to 60, 70 mile an hour for a very short period of time. So you'll know it quick. Okay, I knew this was going to be a mess right through here. Now, you notice we have a brass thrust washer right here, and the brass thrust washer just ate up completely. Now, is this where our metal comes from? No. All of our metal in our pan does have some brass in it, but if you notice, all the metal in our pan was white looking. It looked like physical, shaved, shiny metal. That's not what we have here. This is shaved brass. Now, we do have some metal here shaved too, but that's not what's made that. I mean, it's kind of hard to explain it, but to me, all the metal come out of the converter. He run it for such a long period of time. This washer right here is activated in overdrive. So once this thing shifts to overdrive, then the load goes on this thrust washer right here. We just have a storm coming through here, guys.
And it just kicked both the doors open.
Yeah, let me close this one here real quick. We are fixing to get hit again with some big old thunderstorms today.
Boomers.
Yes. And I mean, in Texas, we get some giant ones. But anyway, we're going to switch this over to a roller bearing style and get rid of that brass washer. And now he can tow with a little bit more confidence in overdrive. So once they added the tow haul button in the later versions, this is what they did. They added this roller bearing right here to support so much load on here. So pretty simple fix. Excuse me. But that's what you have to do. And we have a 4-pinion planet here. Do I need to switch this to a 5-pinion? Nah, I really don't, guys. I mean, even though he's pulling a boat and stuff like that, this 4-pinion planet is pretty dang tough. Now, if he wants to switch, we have them over there on the shelf. We can put one in there. But to me, it's just not that necessary. Check your pins, make sure they're not purple, any wobbling or anything like that, for any end-to-end play on your thrust washers. Check this bearing down in here. You can set this back down in here and set it on there, and you can put a load on it really hard, and you can tell if that bearing's good or bad if you can use that planet. So same way here, you want to look for any wear here where your bushing runs. Now your new support's going to come with a new bushing here. So your black 4-tab washer here. We don't really ever update that area right there. We've had so much luck in the years and years and years of doing this stuff in high horsepower race cars and stuff. To me, that's just not a real critical area. Somebody else maybe, but not to us, and we've had very good success doing it that way. We have our Anti-Clunk Spring here. Now on this outer ring gear here, your lower planet, you want to check on both sides of these teeth here. I've been getting them in where these ring gears are bad. A piece of metal can even be jammed in here that the planet's running over, anything like that. As many miles as this thing's got on it running in that kind of metal, you better look at every place in this unit right here. If not, you're going to send this man back home with a bad unit. So your sun gear right here, same way. You want to look for any type of pitting. I mean, we replace every one we do. I mean, it's just a common thing we do with these. I've got thousands of them over there. You can't repair them. You just chunk them. It's really good metal to run over the scales, though. They pay good money for that type of stuff. Now, you will have to transfer your snap ring over to the other one, but it comes with a bushing. Make sure it's put in there straight, crooked, or straight, not crooked. And you want to definitely, that didn't sound good, did it?
No.
But what you want to mainly do is, when you put this together, is you want to check your bushing here to here and make sure your new bushing spins on this like that. That's what you want, what I'm going for. If you put them in crooked, they will bind like crazy and you won't even get it on. So you want to make sure that's right before you put it down in there, and you're beating it down in there with a hammer. So now this rear planet right here, same way, you want to check for any type of wobbling. Anything like that. Thrust back and forth, any type of pin discoloring. We really don't see these pins walking or anything like the 400s did. We don't have to TIG them in or anything like that. Now, you want to come in here and make sure we have a wide sprag assembly. We have a wide sprag assembly. Go ahead and put him a new one in there. Clean your area up here where your new clutch is going to run. Check this really good for any wears. It's good. Scotch-Brite it up. You can kind of put it on this planet like that. Get you some Scotch-Brite. Get in here and work it like that, because it's kind of hard to hold it and Scotch-Brite it. Works really good that way. So, pretty neat, huh, Teresa?
Yep.
Pretty awesome. So, this is going to be a joyful one to do. A lot of metal cleaning. I got to get all the metal out of this thing, guys. It's going to take a fine-tooth comb and a toothbrush to get it clean. But that's what we do here. We want to definitely get them clean, because that's the way. The better you get them clean, the first initial startup is how the tranny's pretty much going to work the first time right off the bat. There's not going to be no erratic shifting or anything like that. So, Teresa, thank you for recording. Hey, you guys, don't forget to go subscribe, because, guys, I tell you, we got tons of show coming, and we are enjoying what we're doing. And y'all have a very great day.